I'm Marissa. Welcome to another Design by Geeks and Rissa Rocks It Cricut tutorial. If you've ever wondered how to break apart a compound path or a welded design, I'm going to show you two ways how to do this. You might want to do this if you have a design that is one unit, but you want to separate it into multiple colors or multiple pieces. Or if you have holes in a design that you want to remove or other elements that you want to cut out. So the first way we're going to do this is with shapes. So first we're going to add our design to our canvas. And at the right, once that loads in, you're going to see the various pieces of the design. This particular design is just one piece, so you'll only see one item in the layers at the right. If this design were to have multiple pieces, the first thing you'll want to do is right-click and select Ungroup. Now let's say I want the star to be a different color. Right now it's all one piece, so the star is going to cut out with all the other shapes. But if we want to do this as a separate piece in a different color, we need to separate that out. First, we are going to draw a shape that's going to cover the part of the design that we want to separate. At the left, we're going to go to the shapes icon here, and we're going to pick a shape that will cover all or at least most of the part we want to separate out. I could choose the star right now, but I want to show you how to do it with different shapes because your shape probably isn't going to be a perfect shape. It might be something that's a little bit unusually shaped. So let's start with a square. It's going to put a square on our canvas. We're going to want to move that to cover up the star, and we also want to resize it because right now it's not big enough to cover the star. We might also want to change the shape, not proportionally. By default, this little lock up here on the sides is going to lock your height and width proportions. If we click that, that will unlock it, that will let us make our shape wider or shorter or taller independently from the height and width. So we're going to change our shape so that it covers only the part we want to separate out and nothing else. Now this shape doesn't quite cover everything, so if that's the case for you, you can continue to add more shapes until you get what you need to cover the part you want to separate out. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to choose another square, and I'm going to cover that little bit of the star that's not covered. And I'm going to do that again. And now we have shapes completely covering up the star. Now, if you did need to use multiple shapes to cover up the part that you want to separate out, you want to start by selecting all of those shapes. And you're going to do so over here at the right. And to select multiple shapes at once, hold down the Control key or Command key while clicking the different layers. Now we have all of those shapes we drew selected. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to the bottom right. We're going to choose Combine, and then we're going to select Weld. And that's going to turn those shapes into a single object. Next, we're going to select the original design piece and the shape we just made, and we're going to click Slice at the bottom right. So again, we're going to do Command or Control click at the right, and then down at the bottom right, you want to do Slice. Now on our list, you're going to see multiple different objects were created. We're going to have some extra pieces. We want to go ahead and remove those. So this piece is an extra piece. We can go ahead and delete it. Think of it like virtual weeding. And you'll see we actually have two stars. We can remove one of these. We don't need both of them. Now you'll see that the star is separate from the three other pieces, and we can change the color of the star to something different. And when we cut this out, it'll cut separately from the other portion of the design. Or if you just wanted to get rid of the star altogether, we could just get rid of it. The other way you can use shapes is to remove holes from a design. I'm going to get rid of this design, and I'm going to upload a different design. Now again, if this design had multiple pieces on our list at the right, you would right-click and ungroup. I'm going to start by selecting the piece I want to adjust, which is this circle with a star hole and some other small circular holes. And again, I'm going to draw a shape, but this time I'm going to cover the holes I want to get rid of. So let's say I only want the star hole. I don't want these other little circular holes. I'm going to pick a circle. I'm going to cover the first hole, and I'm going to change the size. And I could either select more circles, or I could just copy this circle and move it. I'm doing Control-C on my computer keyboard and Control-V to paste another copy. I'm going to paste another copy until I have enough copies to cover all of the holes. Now this time, I'm going to select the new shape or shapes I drew and my original piece all at the same time. Again, you'll use Command or Control on your keyboard to select multiple layers at the right. And now I'm going to combine and weld, and now you can see it's combined them all into one shape and those holes are gone. The second method I'm going to show you uses contours. I'm going to go ahead and delete this shape, and I'm going to upload a different design. As you can see on the layers at the right, this is another one-piece design. If this was a design with multiple pieces, you would again right-click and choose Ungroup. For this design, I want the face to be one color, but I want the outline to be a different color. What you're going to do when using the contours method is you are going to copy your design for as many colors as you want to use. So if I want to use two colors, one color for the face and one color for the outline, I need 2 copies of this design altogether on my canvas. I'm going to go ahead and do Control-C on my keyboard with the design selected and Control-V to paste another copy. Now I have 2 copies and I want 2 colors, so I have the right number of copies on my canvas. I'm going to select the first piece I want to work with, and then I'm going to select the contour icon down at the bottom right. A new window is going to pop up on your screen, and on the right of the window you're going to see all the different paths that make up this shape. And what you want to do is you want to click on the ones you want to hide. So if I'm going to do the face first, I'm going to hide the parts that are not the face. So I can click them on the list here, and that's going to hide them. And once I have everything clicked that I want to hide, you want to click the X up at the top right. You're going to be tempted to do this Hide All Contours button, but that's not what you want to do. That's going to hide everything. You want to select them on your list and then click the X to apply your changes. So now you see everything except the face is hidden. Now I'm going to repeat with the other portion, and this time I'm going to hide all the pieces that make up the face so that only the outline is showing. So I'm going to select the smile, both eyes, and click the X. And now I can change the color of my tooth to whatever I want. And if I want to move that to see how it looks, I can do that. And it's going to cut the face and the outline as 2 separate pieces. And you would just keep repeating that process for however many colors or pieces you want for that particular design. This method can also be used to remove holes from the design. Say I want this tooth to just be solid, not with a hole in the middle. I don't want it to be an outline. I'm going to go ahead and go back to contour. And you can see that it's still the outline, but what I would do is I would get rid of and hide the path that makes that hole in the middle. I'm going to click X to apply, and now you can see the hole in the middle is gone, and we just have the outer outline of that tooth. Sometimes the hole you want to get rid of is actually multiple lines. I'm going to show you again with that same star and circle we were using before. And if I'm using the contour method to get rid of the circles, this is the outer circle, this is the star hole, and these are the little holes. You would again just click anything you want to hide, and then click the X to apply. For some designs, you might want to use both methods. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these and show you with a different design. For this design, I'm going to be using both methods to edit it. So if the design has multiple layers like this one does at the right, you're going to start by right-clicking and choosing Ungroup. Now the heart is already a different color, which is great, but let's say I want the heart not to have a hole. Let's say I just want it to be solid. But let's also say I want the heart to be one color on the right and another color on the left. First, I want to use the contour method to remove the hole. So I'm going to select the heart. I'm going to use the contour tool, and I'm going to hide the inside line of the heart and click X. Now I'm going to use the shape method to split my heart into two pieces. Maybe I want it to be a broken heart, so I'm going to choose something that I can make kind of a zigzag with. I'm going to use this triangle, I think. And I'm going to turn it on its side. And I'm going to make a copy of this triangle so I can make it a zigzag. Control or Command C on my keyboard to copy, Control or Command V to then paste. And I'm going to keep doing that till I get a zigzag. I'm going to move my triangles. I'm going to use Control or Command on my keyboard to select all the triangles at once and kind of see where I want to move them. Make it bigger. I think I need one more triangle. Copy and paste another one. Get my design down a little bit so I can position that triangle. I think it needs to move a little bit this way. I'm going to add another little piece to cover this part of the triangle. Let's grab a circle. And I want to make sure that I am only covering the parts that I want to separate out. I want to keep that zigzag, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. All right, I have what I think looks good, so I'm going to select all of my new shapes by doing Control or Command, click on the list at the right. I'm going to combine and I'm going to weld. That makes my new shape one piece, and now I'm going to select the new shape and the heart, and I'm going to do slice. I'm going to do some virtual weeding and get rid of some of the pieces I don't need. And now you can see the two parts of the heart are separated. And if I want, I can move this over like that. I can also change the color if I want this half to be a different color. Or if I still want them to be the same color, I'm going to go ahead and do undo. But I want them to cut with like that little gap in between. I could go ahead and select them both again and now combine and weld and bring them back to being one piece. But now it's one piece but with two halves. And if we were to go to make it, you'll see that the heart is cutting all as one piece on the same color, but it's still separated. So even though breaking apart your design in Cricut isn't the most intuitive thing to figure out on your own, now that you have these tips and tricks in your arsenal, you have a lot greater control when you're making designs, and you can customize a design for a lot more options. And you're only limited really by your creativity and not the software. We hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Bye! We hope you liked this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe.